Installing a cam and timing chain set on a Pontiac. It's a hydraulic roller cam that we're going to be using. Cam's installed and we're getting ready. Finding the top dead center. I'm going to install a timing chain set, double roller. But basically what I'm going to show right now is the the timing chain can be installed with either this dot at the very top or at the bottom. It doesn't matter how you install it because the crank turns, the cam turns twice as many times as the crank does. So you have two different bore and strokes. There goes a Ram Air 5 gasket flying on the floor. Anyway, how I do it is I'll get my dot at the bottom for the top gear and my dot at the top of the bottom gear. And then if I take all the slack out and put every chain link in each gear, each tooth, or the valley of each tooth, there's only two teeth left. And the one dot at the bottom, which has the male, and then the top gear, the dot at the bottom, basically has the female. So you can see it's a perfect match. And it can't be a tooth off this way. So by doing this, and you can only do this with a double roller type chain. This is a true double roller. If you notice the links are gold. This is a chain that is 5 thousandths shorter. This block has been line honed. Every block I do is line honed. So it brings this crank up just a little bit, just enough where a standard chain is just a little loose for my liking. So by doing this, I'm able to now just drop it down. I can twist and turn. It's always going to be back aligned because it's in each tooth. So if you notice it's shiny at the bottom, I pre-honed and test fit the lower gear to this Eagle crank. This is a stroker crank. Sometimes they don't fit quite right, so I like to pre-install the gears on the cam and on the crankshaft. What this does is makes this part go a lot smoother. I also pre-glued my lower gasket on. I had little clips holding it in place and 3/8 bolts in the holes to keep everything aligned. And basically it's stuck on there. And when I go to put my timing cover on, that gasket's not going to move and I won't have any leaks. I also test fit the top gear into the cam. This is a hydraulic roller cam, but it's all the same. So now I'm going to basically put my lower gear on. This particular gear has a 4-degree advance and 4-degree retard, which is 2 degrees for the camshaft since it turns twice as much. All right, so let me put this on. Of course, now that I have a camera on, it won't go real smooth because it never does. And it's not. But before I had the camera on, I had this gear on and it fit great. There it goes. All right. So before it hits the keyway, you can see I can turn it. I'm keeping tension on the gear. So once I find straight up, I'm putting this cam in straight up and I'm going to degree it to make sure it lines up. I've put so many of these cams in, I kind of know where it's going to be at, which is a nice thing. And then the top gear, I basically am sitting in a stool right now and I'm looking right down the keyway and I have that cam keyway lined up right with that. I also boat tail them. I basically chamfer the sharp edges. So if I'm a little bit off, it doesn't hit like a wall. It basically will allow this gear or the cam to turn a little bit if I'm off a little. All right, so we'll put that in. I'm going to reach inside the block and just hold the cam from going all the way back against the back freeze plug, or the cam plug as they call it. So now I've got my gear. Just kind of smacking it on there. Sometimes you got to be careful if the keyway is loose and it's every cam is different. You could do that and the keyway will slide up, and you can break a little piece of the gear, the back casting. Let me see if I can get the camera over there. Take my gloves off. Right there is a small part of the casting. And if that keyway rides up towards the thrust plate, it will chip that little piece out. So you'll see once in a while, if you ever see a strange piece of casting in a block and it's got a machined area, that's the problem. All right, what I'm going to do now is push the gears on the rest of the way, and then I'll degree this cam.